Hey everybody! If you're here, say hello. And if you're watching later, maybe on YouTube, let me know what are you going to do after you watch this video. What I'm going to do after I make this video, I want to make sure I'm recording. Yes, I am recording. I am going to go to the gym. Work out. Very bad Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. We're going to pump you up. I don't know. This is why I'm a musician and not a comedian. All right, today we're going to talk about trills. What are trills? How do you play them on the piano? All that good stuff. Let me see. No comments yet. If you're here, say hello. Let me know you're here. And we'll get right to it. All right, let's talk about trills. What is a trill? Basically, a trill is an ornament. And just like you use ornaments, so topical right now. If you're watching this in the summer, you'll be like, what are you talking about? But we're getting ready for Christmas. We put up a tree, if you celebrate Christmas with a tree, and you hang shiny things on it, colorful things on it. Why? To make it look more festive, to make it look more interesting. So in the same way, we add ornaments to our music. You can leave them out and the music will still be fine. In the same way that you can leave off the ornaments from the tree. My hair is an absolute mess. You can leave off the ornaments from a tree and it'll still be a beautiful tree, right? So an ornament is just something added on. And even though I'm going to tell you about some quote rules about trills, I want you to keep in mind rules are general ideas and a place from where you can start. But I don't want you to feel like you are, you have to play by the rules. You can change things however you want and it'll still work if you like it. Just as an aside, just to let you know, you all tell me like, oh, I'm doing such a good job. On the back end over here, I have really extended myself to have to learn like the tech aspects and all that stuff. So when you are learning new things in piano, believe me, I understand. I'm not learning new things in piano, but I'm learning new things about a lot of stuff just so that I can communicate with you. All right. So don't worry. It's never too late in life to learn new things and new ways of being. You just have to want the result enough that you're willing to go through the process to get that result, right? Alrighty, so going back to our trills, composers or editors put markings on sheet music to tell you when to play a trill. And sometimes those markings look a certain way, sometimes look another way. There's no like one standard way. But before I get to showing the marking, let me tell you what a trill is. It's basically going back and forth between two notes, two adjacent notes. So the adjacent notes can be, and if you're on a piano, I'm going to talk about white keys and black keys, but it applies to everything. But we're talking about piano. The adjacent keys can be two white keys. Okay. Can be a white key and a black key. Can be a black key and a white key going like this. Okay, like that. White key, I already did that. Can it be two black keys? Yeah, can be two black keys. So it can be any combination of white keys and black keys that are adjacent. So adjacent keys, you're going back and forth. How fast you play it, etc. We're going to talk about in a minute. So let me show you how a composer will tell you they want a trill played in a certain place. There you go. So you see that the TR stands for trill. I'm sure you can imagine. And then there's a wavy line or maybe no wavy line. Sometimes you'll even see it with just the wavy line without the TR. We assume that is a trill. All right. So in this case, we've got an example with the TR and the wavy line. And we've got an example with just the TR telling you play a trill on that note. We'll talk about how to do that in a second. So if you have a trill that is written into the music, sometimes the editor will tell you, or even maybe the composer will tell you exactly how they want it played. like in this example. So if you look at the big notes, like the actual music that's written, it says this. That's very pretty, isn't it? But if you look above, where I put that rectangle, the red rectangle, you see that the editor or the composer is telling you, this is how I want you to play it. Right? So this would be the trill. Now, we went back and forth between two notes, and then we add a little tag to it. It's very common, but it's not necessary. And the tag is the lower note from the trill, and then going back to the actual note. If you can hear coughing and wheezing, it's my dog Elvis. It's his concert hour right now. Hopefully you can't hear it. So if I were going to play it without the trill, very pretty. With the trill, notice I'm starting on the note above the note that's written. The note that's written is B, and the note I'm starting on is C, and I'll tell you why later. But for now, we're just going to follow whatever it is that the editor or the composer is telling us to do. Right? If I leave out the tag, that guy, the very last two notes that are written there, then it sounds like this. It works. But it doesn't take up enough space, so I would just add another round of CB. Very good. Or they told me I want that little tag underneath it, which is the A underneath the B. Make sense? All right. Now, how do you know if you should start on the note of the trill or on the upper note of the trill? Let's talk about that. So if I have a trill written on the note A, right, I can start either on the A and go back and forth on B like this, right? Or I can start on the B and go down to the A. So how do I know which way to do it? Well, it depends on when the music was written. In general, if the music was written at Mozart's time or before, you start on the note above the trill. Let me show you here. So let's say this is an F. Let's say there's a treble clef right in front of it. So if I am playing music that is written by around Mozart's time or before, like older, then the rule is I start on the G, which is the note higher than F. I can even add a tag, that little scoop underneath if I wanted to. Okay, you could do that if you wanted to. If the music is written after Mozart, in general, we start on the note of the trill, like the big note. Okay, if I want to add the little scoop, I could do that. Okay, so that's the general. Did I do it right? Yeah, starting on the note. So those are general rules, but then you have to look at the specific situation of the piece you're playing. You might decide you like it better, even if it's an older piece. Let's say it's written by Bach. You like it better starting on the note. I'm just making that up, making it kind of sounds like Bach. You might say, I really like it starting on the F. Or if you're playing a piece by Chopin, so the rule would be that you would start on the F. But you might say, in this particular case, I really like that. So again, let the rules guide you, but don't be a slave to them. Those are the examples of going up or down. Now, how do you know which note to trill with? So if this is an F, in our example, am I going to trill with an F sharp or a G flat or a G? Good question, if that was your question. So usually you do the trill in whatever key you're playing in, right? If I'm in the key of C and my trill is on G, then I could trill with a G and the A. because that's in the key of C major. Right? We make sense? Good. Now, if the key signature has flats or sharps in it, then you would use whatever note is in that scale. So let's say I'm in the key of F major. And my trill note is the A. I would not do A and then B because that's not in the key. It would sound kind of weird. So if I'm in the key of F and I've got a trill on the A, doesn't sound right. Okay? So you stay in the key of whatever that chord is or that section of the piece is, or if that entire piece. Except, of course, there's an except if the composer tells you otherwise. So you see that flat in front of the trill? So normally, if that flat weren't there, I would trill G and A, right? Because that, if you look at the key signature, there's no sharps or flats. We're probably in the key of C. We're probably in the key of C, right? But this composer is saying, I want this trill to pull at the hard strings. So I want you to do G and A flat. Sounds a lot different than, right? So if there's an accidental written into the trill, you follow that accidental. You don't follow the rule of staying in the whatever key signature you're in. There's a different way to show that. It can be like this. So instead of writing the accidental on the trill symbol, the composer can put in parentheses the note that they want you to trill with. So in this case, if again this is in the treble clef, that's going to be B, and the composer is telling you, I want you to trill not with B and C, but with B and C sharp. See that? All right, make sense? Now, let's talk about how long is a trill? How long do you play it? It really depends on how long the note is, right? In this case, what I've got on the screen, it's a half note. So if it's 1 and, I'm just making this up, okay? 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and I'm done, right? If it's a very short note, if it's like an eighth note, and it could even just be like one go around, like that. Could be a trill too, all right? It really depends. All right, how fast do you play a trill? Okay, so now we have to talk about, there's two different kinds of trills. There is the measured trill and the unmeasured or non-measured trill. The measured trill tells you a ratio. Let me show you an example. I've actually got one here for you. This is from a Bach invention. If you look at the second line, you'll see that the right hand has a trill, like that, right? And this is Bach. So what do we know? The rule is we start on the note above. So if I play just the right hand, starting on the second line, I have to trill with D and C. I'm in the key of D minor, so these are my trill notes, and you'll see it goes 1, 2, 3 measures, quite long. If I were going to play it as a measured trill, the ratio would be 2 notes, 2 trill notes for every 1 note in the left hand. So it would be like this if I put the left hand and the right hand together. Okay, that would be measured, and of course it would be a little faster. Okay, and so on. That's measured, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But the other one, the one where you don't actually count it out with a ratio, it's more like a blur. To me, it sounds more musical. And again, it really depends on the situation. There are no hard and fast 100% rules. So if I were playing this piece, let me go slow so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going into it from the measure before the trill. Can you hear a ratio? No, you can't. At least I wasn't doing one. If I were to go a little faster. I'm not warmed up. I hope this works. Almost worked. Okay. So you can't really count it out. But if I were going to do that measured, that's hard to do. Okay, let me do it measured a little slower. So you see, my inclination is to just let it fly. Because it's to me, it sounds better. It's just like a whirl of notes. If you're not at the technical stage yet where you can do that, it's okay. You can do a slower unmeasured or non-measured trill. You can do it like this. It's harder, I think, but you can just kind of, as a practice steps, really focus on the left hand and just put in the right hand trill wherever you can. If you want to do it like that, or if you're not yet at the technical stage where you can do... If you're not there yet, do the measured trill. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm playing this loud so you can hear it. I wouldn't actually perform it like this. I would bring out the left hand. Sorry, the microphone's in the way. I can't see. But anyway, does that make sense? Measured and unmeasured. Now, you can finesse it even more. Your trill doesn't have to stay the same speed the entire time. You can start it fast, slow it down. You can start it slow, speed it up. So let me show you an example of a Chopin piece. In Chopin, you can just really let your trills take flight. This is from the C sharp minor nocturne. I'll play it without the trill first. I'm going to move this so I can actually see what I'm doing. Hold on. Nope, I can't. There's something in the way. I'm in a corner. Never mind. Here it is without the trill. Very pretty, right? You notice there are a couple of grace notes in the second measure there. Those aren't really part of the trill, but if you remember back to our earlier example of the trill where we had something like that scoop underneath, it's written in, but now it's written in as grace notes to the next G sharp. Now, I know I'm in the key of C sharp minor. That's the harmonic version. If you want to learn all about scales and chords, Chord Master 1, baby. It's an incredible masterclass. I'll leave links for that below. So that means I'm going to use G sharp. I'm going to use G sharp and F sharp. So my note is F sharp, and I'm going to pick the note above it. That's what it's going to sound like. So I'll play it as a measured trill right now. I will try. Okay, nothing wrong with it. Let me see if I can do it a little more musically so it doesn't sound so wooden. Very pretty, right? Or I can do an unmeasured trill. I'll just kind of let it do whatever it wants, like a little shake. Let's see what that sounds like. Again, very pretty. What I choose to do, especially with Chopin and like the romantic composers, but most especially with Chopin, is I like to vary the velocity of my trill. How's that for a fancy word? So I might start it slow, speed it up. Let's try that. I'm not promising it's going to be great. We're experimenting. So I'm going to start the trill slow and speed it up. Let's see what that sounds like. Pretty. I might have preferred to start the speeding up a little bit later. Let me try that. Nice. Notice there's a lot of experimentation. Now I'm going to start it fast and slow it down. Hear it? Let's try it with the left hand. Oh, let's try that again. What did I say? Fast and then slow down. Yeah. The reason I'm having trouble with it is because it's very counterintuitive. You can see that. It's taking me a moment to tell myself to do that because my natural inclination is to not do that. So start fast and slow it down. Honestly, I don't really like that. What I would prefer is to start kind of slow, speed it up, and then back off, right? So it's like a little hill. Starts slower, gets faster, and then slows down and kind of eases into the next thing. That's what I would prefer. And that's why I was really fighting it to start fast and slow it down. I can't even say it. It's so not in my field of wanting to do this. All right. Let me do it without the left hand so you can see what I mean. I'm going to start kind of slow, speed it up, and then slow it down. Do you hear it? It's like a flutter, and then it just kind of backs off. Listen again. To me, that sounds the most graceful and the most musically expressive. And that's why I keep wanting to do that. So let's hear with the left hand. Let me try it again because that wasn't really all that successful. And part of it, we actually had a discussion in the Facebook group. Part of it is that I'm playing a digital keyboard. It's not a real piano. Trills are much better on an actual acoustic piano. So let me try it one more time. Very, very beautiful piece. I totally forgot. I have an easy version of this very piece. I will link that below. Got the sheet music and a video for you to watch. Fingering with the trill, it really depends on what works for you in that particular instance, where you're coming from and where you're going to. Okay? So you want to use the fingering that feels the best and that allows you to put the trill into context. Remember that a trill is not something you play and walk away. It's inside of a piece of music and you're coming from somewhere, you're going to somewhere, right? So the fingering aspect is entirely up to you, and that's where you want to do some experimentation. In general, it's harder to make a trill with the fourth finger, but it's not impossible. See, I can do it on this Chopin piece. Do I prefer it? No. Remember, I'm a professional. I've been working on this for a long time. This isn't hard for me, but it's not the best feeling. I can do it. No problem. Can I do 1 and 2? Yeah, but then look, going out of it is hard. Can I do 2 and 3? Yeah, and that's good because I can play here. Let's see. Can I do 4 and 5? That's the most tricky. These two fingers don't do well when you try to trill them together. It's possible, okay? But it's not preferable. It's very hard to do. I would not recommend you do that. You can also, they don't have to be adjacent fingers. They can be, you can skip one. You can do even 1 and 4. There's actually one of my students, Tuan, is playing, he's playing this piece, and it's so funny. And later on, there's a trill, and I think it's in this piece, and I wanted him to do 1 and 4. Let's just pretend it's this. Whatever it is. And to me, it doesn't feel bad. It's not that. I don't have it with me, or else I'd show you. But to me, it felt really good, that fingering. To him, it didn't feel good. So you see, it's a very personal thing. You can do 2 and 4. You can also, as you're doing a trill, if it's a long trill, you can switch fingers. So if I'm doing a trill, and it's going to be for a while, or I need to go somewhere after I play the trill, and I can only start, let's say I can only start with these 2 fingers because I'm coming from somewhere. But then I know I'm going to need that second finger to go over. Somewhere during the trill, I'll switch to first finger, and then I'll go over. So you can also switch fingering inside the trill. All this lives in the world of technique. You want to work on your technique as a whole, just like working out. Hey, how's that for a wrap up? I'm going to go work out. But if I just go and work out my biceps and nothing else, am I going to be fit? Is my body going to be strong? Am I going to be flexible? Am I going to be fast? No. My biceps alone don't make up my body. It's a system, right? So in the same way, technique, your piano technique is a system. You want to work on flexibility, finger agility, hand independence, hand coordination. It all works together because it sets up the communication pathways between your brain and your body. So when you say to your body, do this, your body can do it because you've already taught it to do that. And if you notice it's taking you a really long time to learn a piece, there's something missing. It shouldn't be hard. It really shouldn't be hard to play the piano. It's a long game, right? It's not an overnight sensation type thing. It's a long game, but it shouldn't be hard or frustrating. So if you find that, drop me an email or a message and let me know what's frustrating, and then I can kind of tell you what you need, okay? If you're looking for a structured way to reach your piano goals, check out my membership site. I've got a link for you where you can try it out absolutely free, no obligation. All right, so if you are wondering now, how do you actually play it? I have a video that takes you through exercises on YouTube. I'll link it here. I want you to go watch that next because I don't want you to hurt yourself. If you watch carefully, you'll notice it wasn't my fingers moving. It was my arm. So I've made a video actually that you can watch that teaches you how to play a trill in a way that will be healthy for your body and that will sound good. All right. So you're going to watch that after you watch this. It's going to be linked here. Keep practicing, have fun, and I will see you soon.